Congratulations with the
Thank
car.
you very much.
You've been working for example, Aston Martin. Why did you leave there just to start your own company? You know how hard it is to start.
Well, I didn't know it at that time. I thought it was going to be a lot easier, otherwise I may not have done it. But I think for me it was about being able to do something on a clean sheet of paper, and I already at that time had some ideas about how we could make more sustainable vehicles. It took me some time to get there, but eventually, we made the first car, the Fisker car. I think we're the first with a true vegan interior, first with a full solar roof. At that time, we were probably too early. We launched the car, a year before the Model S came out, so probably way too early. But it has given me a lot of knowledge and helped me in this new venture of Fisker to really get everything the way we want and do it correctly.
So why your early concern of the environment?
I don't know if it's because I grew up in Denmark, maybe because my mother always told me to pick up the paper from the floor and turn off the light. I just think I love nature, but I also love cars. And those have been two difficult things to merge. And I always felt that rather than just saying, let's get rid of cars and take public transportation, let's make some really great, clean cars. I mean, I grew up in Denmark, and I never dreamt about taking the bus when I woke up. I dreamt about owning a car. Yeah. And so I think that for me, it's about making basically the most sustainable vehicles, but also make them fun and beautiful.
Did you design the Karma yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the cars that I'm sort of associated with, I designed myself, and also the Fisker Ocean here. Of course, I have a design team that works on all the details, the inside of the lamps. I mean, there's many details to be done, so I can't do all of these. But the overall design I do myself.
So, what was your design aim on this car?
So for this car, it's the first SUV I've done. I've only done sports cars and luxury cars. So the aim for this was really to get a powerful stance and a very clean, beautiful sculpture and body. So it was a dynamic vehicle, but still had all the usability of an SUV. That was very important. And you have to judge if I achieved it or not. I think that what we could do, because we started with a clean sheet of paper, we could make the track a little wider, the wheels a little bigger than normally on these size of vehicles, which also helped us give us a lot of interior space. I think it has one of the most or largest interior space for this size of vehicle.
I think you have succeeded, and I love the stance as well. Is the consumption of this car, for example?
Well, obviously the larger a car you have, the more you're going to consume of energy to move it. And I think I don't have the number in my head, but we're probably pretty close to what anybody else is. So the way you get a longer range is by getting a larger battery, but also create some efficiencies in areas that you still have some opportunities versus maybe other car companies. So for example, we have a couple of engineers from Boeing which really looked at distributing the air underneath the body, away from suspension and out of the wheel wells as well. We also looked at some efficiencies in the powertrain itself, decoupling the rear motor when you don't need it. We looked at other efficiencies, like we developed together with Bridgestone unique tires for this car, both 20 and 22 inch. So actually when you choose the large tires in this car, you lose very little range. So other cars you can lose 50 kilometers of range if you choose the big wheels. Here you only lose like 5-6 kilometers of range, very little, because they are developed with very low rolling resistance but still has a good grip.
You also will come with a number of other cars. Pear first?
Well, the Pear will be, another type of vehicle. It's smaller and it's lower cost. And we are very excited about this vehicle because we're going to introduce some things that's never been done before. It looks very different. You have to get used to it. It has some features that no other cars ever had. So we're really trying to change the mindset with that vehicle. And it may not be for everyone, but for certain people, I think it'll be a very cool vehicle.
Will that be a car that you own, or is that, do you think about other solutions?
Well, we have a flexible lease we're going to introduce later this year. But I think it will always be up to people whether they want to own or share or lease or rent the vehicle. I mean, personally, I want to own my vehicle. I want to know that it's mine, and if I want to break something, I break it, and I don't care about it. And if I come out to my vehicle and there's an old coffee cup, I want it to be mine, not somebody else's. Maybe other people don't care about that. That's why we have different concepts. But I don't think we'll move into one solution. I think people like to have the choice, and different people have different needs.
Yeah. So even though it's a city car, you don't think that that's a car like a bicycle that people can borrow and
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. If somebody wants to set it up that way, it could be. That's why I said I think there will be different choices. There's certain times in your life where you're willing to do certain things, and then there's other times in your life where you say, I don't want to do that anymore. You know, I want to do different. So I think we're going to have different options, but this vehicle could be that. It also could be a vehicle for food delivery and other things, ride sharing and so on.
Back to the Karma. That was a luxury car, and now you got a car that is quite cheap when you just choose it with two-wheel drive. Why?
Well, you know, I think if we really want to change the world, we have to get more affordable electric vehicles out in the market. And I found it was a really interesting challenge to try and make an SUV electric vehicle that was fairly affordable. SUV because it's the fastest growing market in the world globally, whether it's electric or gasoline. So we know that people want this type of vehicle. So we felt this was the right vehicle to start with. We will have a supercar as well, and we will have, like I said, some different type of vehicles. But this we felt was the right vehicle to start with.
Is this what you're concentrating on now, or is this in the planning and in the pipeline, so to speak?
Yeah, we are working on multiple vehicles because ultimately you cannot be a car company with one vehicle. You have to have multiple vehicles. But we are announcing some more about that later this year. So hold on and you'll hear some more. Polestar
Has taken ownership in transparency of carbon use in production and life cycle. What is your opinion about that? Transparency for the customers and between the companies?
I think we are totally transparent. If you go to our website, you can see our ESG report. We are publishing our life cycle report in a few months. I mean, we're just starting to deliver vehicles. So we are totally transparent. We announce everything. We have also said where our vehicle is produced in a carbon-neutral factory in Austria, powered mainly by hydro.
So that is carbon neutral?
That's carbon neutral. Okay. Yeah, and we have also announced we are aiming to make a carbon-neutral car in 2027. That's a tough goal, but that's the goal we have set ourselves to drive our entire organization with that mindset.
You have also announced battery swap. Why, when you have so long reach?
It's mainly for fleets, because fleets have different things they have to deal with. Some fleets cannot afford to spend 30-40 minutes to fully charge a car, and you can swap a battery in 5 minutes. So this is really a fleet deal, and we have certain customers who's interested in that, and that's why we made that deal.
Is that on the ocean?
It'll be on the ocean from beginning of next year, but like I said, mainly for fleets. It's not really for private people at this point.
So then you make the battery stations swaps at the locations to the fleet owner or something?
We are not doing it. It's another company. It's also not our battery that gets exchanged like other cars. It's actually a universal module that goes in. So any other car that has this system can go in and get a swap too. So it's a new thing that we're trying out together with this company. And like I mentioned, it's mainly for fleets. And they're managing it, we're not.
You talked about that you are giving the petrol heads big batteries now. How do you think the future will be like? What will people choose in terms of big batteries or short or long range?
I don't think there's a universal answer for that. I think people, just like today, some people buy a car with a big engine, people buy a big car, some buy a small car. I think we will still see this mix of vehicles in the future. We will see a mix of ranges. Some people want a vehicle with a long range because maybe once or twice a year they go very far and they would like to get there without having to stop and charge. But what I do think we're going to start seeing more of is when people start owning 2 electric cars, I think we're going to see more electric cars that have small range specifically for cities. But that we're not that far yet. People are not quite comfortable with it, but I think that will happen in a few years from now. Just think generally when people get comfortable in an electric car and they start understanding how they use it, they may change their mind on what they actually need. Now in this case with Ocean, we also offer this with an LFP battery with a base range of 440 kilometers, which is of course much less than the 707, and it may be enough for a lot of people. But I think this vehicle, the type of vehicle it is, we want a long range because an SUV, when we get to the Pear, I think it fits more in that sort of segment where you can have a shorter range.
So where will Fisker be in 10 years?
Well, we are aiming in 2027 to make 1 million vehicles a year. So that's only 5 years from now. So in 10 years, I don't think that far out. I don't plan that far out. That probably also will change as we have seen these issues popping up with this war.
Yeah, because Tesla has in many ways revolutioned the way they are producing, sell it, and servicing the cars. And we see now that they are benefiting very of producing everything themselves. Are you thinking in that direction as well?
Well, first, there is no car company producing everything themselves. The people don't make their own steering racks and brake discs and all this. So I think we will always be depending on a supply chain. Certain things just doesn't make sense to make. I mean, nobody makes their own windshield wipers because you want to be able to exchange them and you want somebody to make millions of those so they're at low price. So I think, like I mentioned earlier, we have our unique business model where we start out with a very asset-light model, and we do that so we can offer our customers a very competitive price. We are going to grow in some different areas. We are going to do things differently probably in 5 years, but right now the business model we have, I think, is very beneficial both for us and our customers because they will get access to service when they need it immediately. By us not necessarily have to build all these service centers. We already have partnered up with Mekonomen here in Scandinavia. You don't have to be sort of that early adopter that don't get service for the first 2 years. You'll get it from day one. We have very long warranty on our products, 10 years on the battery because we have partnered with one of the largest battery companies in the world and delivered or developed a pack.
Who is that?
CHL developed a pack that is probably the most energy dense. So I think we have taken advantage of our supply chain and the partners we have to offer what we think is the best product on the market to the best price.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.